Welcome to YOUCANIC. Today we're going to go over how you would replace your headlights, or one way to replace your headlights on your S550. This is your low beam, this is your high beam, and this is an LED strip. It's also your daytime running lights if the blinker wasn't on, but your blinker is built into there. And this is LED in the blinker portion, as well as this little side marker here. So there's nothing that we can really do to replace on that, except you would replace the whole element at that moment, or the headlight assembly. You would replace that. But I find the easiest way, because everything else in this thing, because it's got the big V8 in it, is super tight to try to do anything out there. So we're just gonna take a bolt off here to be able to drop the bumper. There was a bolt down there that we removed, and then there's some clips back here. That'll be an image in the descriptions, but there's some clips back here and a metal piece you remove so you can get the bumper to kind of pull off to be able to. There's one screw back here, or bolt we need to get back here, because there's three that hold this light in, and we just basically remove the whole light, flip it around, do what we need to, and then put it back in. I find it easier than trying to deal with all the mess up in there. So I'm going to go ahead and turn off all the lights. So to start with, there's this one bolt here on the bumper. Okay, and then there was a screw that's right up here that's been removed, and some push pins, and then there was this metal plate here that's clamped up inside there, and it holds these two pieces together, being the fender and the bumper. And so if you just get a screwdriver right in here and just kind of push it out, you can push it out, and then it'll now come apart. Right? And there was a nut bolt down here on the right down here behind the grill was a nut also that I've removed. So now hopefully we should be able to pull the bumper forward enough, because there's a bolt here and a bolt here, and there's a bolt onto this bumper piece that we need to remove. And also there's a lip around the whole headlight assembly that will need to be, that's why the bumper needs to kind of come off. That way you can't pull this out without moving the bumper away somewhat. That gives us well enough access there. So remove the two number 8s up top. Alright, so continuing to remove this headlight, or the whole headlight assembly, to be able to get to the lights themselves. So we've got the bumper free and able to pull forward. There's two 8mm bolts right here to be removed, and the electrics back here have been unhooked. Right? The last thing that needs to be undone is right below this. So if you just kind of pull the bumper out and look below this, because this has the washer fluid that will spray on your headlights. We got to take that off, take the screw off there, so that contraption won't be holding us up. So you just kind of drop your bumper down. Alright, so once the screw is undone, you're just going to push it back and push it out of the way. Now, be able to get this now there's it's a bolt over here, but it's more an adjustment bolt. Doesn't need to be removed. There's just these two top bolts. Just kind of pull your bumper a little bit away, hold it as good as you can, unless you just go ahead and remove the whole bumper, which might be just as easy. But you're just going to want to push this over to get that bolt out. And just do our best to work some magic getting it out. Now, since it's removed, we can get full access to everything back here and makes it a lot easier. So this is your high beam, right in here. High beam. Should just twist counterclockwise to the release point. Tabs on the side to squeeze, and that can be undone. Try not to touch this, especially with your bare hands, because it causes issues with the light, and the light will burn out faster. This bulb, when you get a new one to put in it, this is an H11, right? So you're going to do the same thing. We're just going to re-put it back in. So when you got your new one, you clip it all back together. Do our best not to touch that. Get it in the housing and then just turn it clockwise, and that's been replaced. And then put your cap and cover back on. Okay. This one off. Now this one is one of those HIDs. So a little bit of specialness to it. That's one reason why you want to definitely make sure your electrics are unhooked, because these things are very high voltage light bulb. But you'll do the same thing, twist it, and to be able to pull it out. Again, do not touch this bulb. You would just pop this bulb. Okay, so I'm putting this back together. This is one whole unit, this light bulb and element that starts it. So number one, we definitely don't want to touch any of this as possible. So you've unhooked this clip, and this clip is just a push-in adapter, and you can just pull on it and it comes undone. So when you got your new one, you want to put it in, and note you got this kind of bar piece right here on the bottom. On this, it's got it's a round, but it's got a little indent on the bottom, so you're going to want to make sure that is on the bottom. You can only go in there that way. So a little bit of a 45 to the left, and then just twist it to the right. So once it's twisted to the right, it's locked into position, and go ahead and you can hook the electric back up. Just close it back together. Go ahead and put your cap back on. All right, and now we'll just go ahead and put the whole headlight assembly back in. This is the one thing you got to be interested in too. This little groove here, I'll show you in a second, and these little tabs, and this is the washer fluid for the headlight assembly itself. But this screw here is what screws it in, and that little thing, it slides right into there. It's got a little notch, and so we want to make sure we get that all set up before we put all our other stuff together. So we're just going to go ahead and do our best work of trying to get this in here the easiest. And make sure that this bolt that was over here, or adjustment, goes into the hole. Slide it to the right. Everything else should line up pretty good there. And then before we get too carried away, make sure we get this all hooked back up, lined up. T25 to tighten it up. Alright, we got our two number 8s into place, tighten them up. Did also make sure that that stud bolt is still in where it's supposed to be. And then bring the bump back up. If you didn't fully remove it, which seemed to work out kind of okay. And put our number 10 back in over here. It holds the bumper. So good. And then there's a number 10. There's a bolt down here in the bumper grill. Make sure you put that back on. And hook the electric back up. Let's just go ahead and try it out. Perfect. Yep, perfect. Everything still works. Headlight, or the regular low beam, which is the HID, high beam, which is the H11, your blinker and your running lights run. And like I said, if these go bad, the blinker, the running light, I don't believe it's a serviceable item. You'd have to replace the whole unit. But these are LEDs, so very unlikely that they're going to go bad on you. And that's how you replace your headlight assembly and headlight itself, or the light bulbs, with removing, just kind of moving the bumper away, removing the whole headlight assembly, turn it around, do what you got to do, put it all back in. I find that a lot easier than go ahead and try to, make your hands small and reach behind all that stuff. So that's how you do this in your S550. Thanks for watching YOUCANIC, where you can be the mechanic.